Jane had that great line about handsome is as handsome does, or all that glitters is not gold. Do you think a panel of men in your similar city building position would be having the same conversation? I mean, if I wasn't here.
Not quite.
Gayle.
Me?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I do.
That must have been Barbara Paley.
Yes.
You're the optimist.
Right. No.
No.
Obviously, gender's an issue, but again, I take some heart that I think the dialogue and the planning community on the public sector side is beginning to look more like America, and America is looking very diverse and interesting. If you look at the population shifts in terms of the demographics of people who are, white and Latin and African American and Asian, I'm encouraged that I begin to see all of that, and I think it's not just the different perspective of that women bring. I guess the comment I would make is that I think women are collaborators, and that style actually is becoming mainstream as well. So I would like to think that a panel of men would aspire to be like this panel.
Anybody else want to address this question of do women
help me, guys?
I was going to say I would have said that yes, they would maybe have the same conversation under the guise of political correctness, and so I think that what you were saying at the end is absolutely right, that we would hope that they would be well educated, but I do think around the issue of power, I suspect that men up here would be talking more about their access to power, which I think we should be talking about too. So it's not that I want to say, thank God we're not, we should, but I think one wants to keep these things in constant dialogue, and there might have been a greater emphasis on power, and we should not underplay that, but anyway, I think it would be a different discussion, so.
I mean, I have to say, so this question, it says, Women as City Builders, right? It's the title of the panel. So we have spent 2 weeks now trying to figure out how to address this question. Because no one wants to say, women don't build towers. They do. No one wants to say, women have community vision and men have vision. We've all said, if the makeup of this panel were different, racially, class-wise, ethnic-wise, community, geography-wise, it would be different. And yet there is something about a woman's gaze, a woman's vision. I mean, she had assimilating children in chapter number 4. I don't think you'd find that in a city planning book by John Jacobs. Sheila.
I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this over the last few weeks, but I mean, to me, there are two sort of undeniable things that set women apart from men. We can bear, birth, and nurture children. That's undeniable. And we're very good at using our gender as a platform to talk from.
Maybe that's our problem.
But I'm not sure anymore that, funnily enough, and English isn't my first language, so please forgive me, women no longer have the monopoly on what we have dubbed female values, as men no longer have the monopoly on what we call male values, whereas maybe previously they did. There's a reason we call it male and female values, and we call it hard and soft values. Yes, I think that we bring, as a group, we bring something to the community and to every industry that has embraced women and different races and ages and genders and so on. I certainly am grateful to my mother's and grandmother's generation that they paved the way for me. I'm not sure anymore that there is a grouped difference between men and women, and not as city builders. But I feel confident that we have to be here in order to contribute to the discussion.
Laura.
Well, I think that women have played a huge role in urban design in the Bloomberg administration, and I'll be curious to see if there's a male head of city planning, whether they will do social seating and all the things that Amanda has really brought to urban life to make plazas hospitable so people can actually turn and talk to each other as opposed to sitting in isolated places. And in my world, actually the Park Conservancy world, Betsy Barlow Rogers really took back the central. She started the idea of a public-private partnership, the first public-private partnership to take back a park, and then I think of Worry Price at the Battery, who's also doing that, and Madeline Wills, who's here, and these are almost all women, and also in Brooklyn Bridge Park, Regina Meyer. So I think women treat these landscapes very experientially. What will the mother and the child do when they walk into the park? Where will they go? Can we give the kids fishing poles at the Harlem Mirror? What kind of programming are we going to do to address what you were saying of to build community in the park? And it's all very human.
Because you're talking about putting yourself in the head of someone who's deciding,
right,
are they going right and left?
Exactly.
You talked about
That's
imagining.
What I'm talking about, putting yourself in the shoes of the person experiencing the place. Where will the lovers go? Where will, where do you propose? There's just all these scenarios of how are people in public space.
Well, and I think that the question just always has to be asked: who's talking, and who's not? Who's here and who's not here? I think that's a really important question. And the fact is, I don't know as much in the world of planning and here and versus San Francisco, but the fact is men still hold more of the jobs, more of the power. And regardless of how we've changed and how we approach, that's still a fact, and power is power.